Hi, I'm Sue Greenwald, and I'm with awakenstories.com. I'm here today again with Deborah Nixon. Hey, Deborah, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, Deborah had recorded her Becoming Awakened video a couple weeks ago. It got great response. Her story is fascinating, and she's an inspiration to us all, and such a positive and loving person. And after I had recorded the video with her, I realized, we really didn't talk about all of her intuition and her past life recall and her psychic abilities and all that. So we're doing another video today to talk about those and any other things that we left unsaid. So any topic goes, and you are welcome to explain things how you like, and I'll ask questions here and there, Deborah.
Well, thank you. I guess I was going to say that, refreshing from last time, that I could see spirits as a child. I tend to think it's probably inherited from my native grandmothers. At 5, they found me. Believe me, I was raised very religious. So at 5, they found me, now I lay me down to sleep. And after I finished the prayer, I started praying not to, but for Satan. I was asking for his healing, that all of this nonsense would go away if he was healed as a spirit.
For his healing.
For his healing.
Okay.
Basically to be reconciled to Daddy.
All right.
Well, I kind of quickly got, I got reprimanded for that and told that was not what we did. However, I'm finding great power in that as I've grown older, praying for them, or rather requesting Daddy's presence to reconcile them. You don't fight negative with negative, it feeds it.
Right.
So
that's true. So whenever you are asking the dark to leave, you surround them with what? Light and love.
Yes.
Yeah. And the heavier, and then you ask, let's say, the angelics or whoever to escort them to the light, taking as long as they need to, So that being, yeah.
And in my innocence.
Yeah. So who reprimanded you? Was it your grandmother's?
I believe it was my mother.
Okay.
It was my, you don't do that.
Right.
That's what, so anyway, it kind of got interesting after that, because when I was 5 years old, my great grandmother passed. And she didn't want to scare me, so she came to my window and she told me she was leaving. And I told her goodbye. I was not scared at all. I knew who was, and I loved her. Well, when my mother came in to tell me that she'd passed, I told my mother before she could tell me that great grandmother had come to me and said goodbye. And that it just floored my mother.
Right.
And then shortly after that, I dreamed about a red tide. And I told him, I didn't know what a red tide was. I just told her the whole ocean turned red and all the fish died. And then it happened about 2 weeks later, and that just floored my mother as well.
Right. And, so you were like 5-ish when all this was happening.
Yeah. And it kind of freaked my mom out. She didn't quite know what to think of that. And then at age 6 in first grade, I was failing first grade. And I happened by a mirror with one of my papers, and my mother saw it. And it turned out that I am what they call a textbook dyslexic. I wrote complete mirror images.
Ooh, interesting.
Perfect paper in the mirror. So not partial, but I see complete mirror images. And
do you still have that?
Oh yeah.
And how did you get through school?
You're gonna laugh. I found it to actually be a gift. It doesn't seem like it at first. It's a difficulty, and it you learn, but you can't share very well because nobody can read your paper. So upon discovering that, they sent me to see a psychiatrist.
Oh,
And I spent 8 hours, an entire day, going through, I don't know what you want to call it, an evaluation of sorts. And they did ink blots and this interview with a psychiatrist, and they did, the square peg and the round hole thing and all that. They have those geometric things you have to fit together. But I mean, they tested me for the whole day. Then they did the EEG, the electroencephalogram, to
right,
measure your brain waves,
right.
which, just looking back, that seems kind of odd that they would go to all this because I was dyslexic. And then they sent me to the basement. And when I went to the basement, there was like this area set up with little cubicles and dividers. And there was a man down there who interviewed me, and he started going through ESP evaluations,
Ooh,
testing me with cards that he was trying to figure out if I was a sender, a receiver, or both. I have no idea what the test showed, but at the end of it, probably a week or two later, my parents came to me and told me that I had a very high IQ, and that it kind of ran along the lines with the dyslexia. And not long after that, a couple of suits, I call them suits, a man and a woman in black suits came to talk to my parents about putting me in a government program.
ooh.
And I got visions that I was going to be a guinea pig. And I went to my father and I pleaded with them not to do it, because they had to give up their parental rights, and I would go live at the school for this exemplary education that government funded, the best of the best. And my mother was ready to do it. And
Wow.
after I talked to my dad, he says, you're not sending my daughter anywhere. So that didn't happen.
I'm so glad he stood up for you. So basically, they tested your ESP abilities and your psychic abilities and all that, and they were going to try to train you and use you in some way.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
Yep. So I narrowly escaped that.
Wow. Yeah.
Thankfully, my father heard me and listened. So let's see. Yeah, I told him it was going to be a horrible thing. So they put me back in regular school.
Right. Okay.
And then when they did that, I had to be in learning disabled classes, LD, and in advanced classes at the same time.
What?
Yes.
That's ridiculous, but okay.
So I was in both at the same time. And that's when I learned that the LD kids, and I'm talking about special education kids, because I was in with all of them, they're not, I called it a different intelligence. They all have different intelligences. And I couldn't get the other kids to be nice to them, so they were just mean to me.
Right.
I
Right.
was not accepted. I was shunned by most
Right.
of the other kids. And I was smaller than they were, which ended up not working out well for them later on. And so let's see, where's it going? I saw a tutor for 2 years.
Okay.
She taught me, basically I learned what I call eye tricks, which helps you remember orientation, because I didn't know the difference between left and right. And it's still I'm challenged by that. You tell me left, I'll go right. You tell me right, I'll go left. So, and I used to write with both hands. They tied my left hand behind my back
Oh,
so that I would write with my right hand, because originally I could write with both.
can you still write with your left hand now?
I can, but it's harder. It's
Right.
not the
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
I tend to throw things with my left hand. There's a lot of things I tend to do
Right.
left-handed, but I use both.
That's too bad, because that's a handy skill to have, to be ambidextrous, you know? You
Yes,
know?
yes. So I did go back to school, and as I went through the tutoring, I learned what I call eye tricks. And I actually volunteered at the school as a mom and helped. I says, give me the kids that can't read and that you can't help them, because I
Oh,
can. So I used to
oh,
volunteer and teach the kids they didn't realize were dyslexic.
that's so awesome. Yeah, having dyslexia, you know, like it's a real handicap. And so you made it through beautifully.
Not only did I make it through, I've worked as a bookkeeper, a full charge bookkeeper and office manager for the last probably 35 years.
Wow.
And it's actually been a benefit to me, because in a string of numbers, I can pull out where somebody else transposed the numbers.
Ah, okay.
I can
Wow.
see them.
Wow.
So when when you do audits, or when you do, yeah, it's been a gift.
So you just have a different a way of seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, knowing things, which is, I think, cool. But, you know, back then people didn't understand it. And of course, authority, like parents would give their authority to the schools. Like if a teacher said this, they just believed them. And, yeah, so, and they didn't really have like as good training in a way as for dyslexia as they do now. Like to tie your hand like that is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But okay, go on with your story.
So let's see. There was, I think I mentioned it in a previous interview, that there was a lot of poltergeist activity in my home. There was a
Right.
lot of, I guess, a lot of energy, opposing energy in the home. And it kept me in a pretty, you say, I was afraid. I was very afraid. I used to sleep under my bed because of how much of this went on. And I don't want to give it any power, so we won't go too much into that, except that it kept me very afraid. And the fear, of course, feeds it,
Right.
because Daddy didn't give us a spirit of fear.
So there was a lot of fighting in your household, and then there was a lot of
The
dark energy. So then the question is, which came first, the fighting or the dark energy? Because if the dark energy was there, it would stimulate the parents and the family fighting a little more.
It was the dark energy.
Yeah, it just grows and grows and grows. It's unfortunate.
Well,
All
and
right.
I could see them, and I was afraid, and my parents didn't know how to protect me.
Right.
Because it became so apparent. One night it knocked at the door, something. Mom opened it, there was nothing there, and then you could hear, loud footsteps back to my bedroom, of course. So I remember my dad popping out the Bible, and he would just read. It all it would do is just escalate. It was kind of crazy.
Right.
Anyway, at some point it actually managed to break up my family. My parents separated ways, and I ended up in foster care. And then I ran away from foster care. And while I was a runaway, I thank Daddy for my abilities, because I stayed away from people that would hurt me.
Right. Okay. You just intuitively knew.
Yeah. And then I dreamed, when I actually did, my father found me. I don't know how he found me, but he did.
Right. Right.
I dreamed of my ex-husband. And then I ended up meeting him and marrying him and having children. It was not a relationship made in heaven. It was definitely not. But I had lessons to learn, and I just have to be thankful for the lessons I did learn.
Right.
It takes a diamond to to make a diamond, because you got to knock the rough edges off of each other.
Well, you know what? You like I said, it makes you stronger and smarter, and you know what I mean? You learned your lessons, and look how you came out. I mean, it was hard. I'm not minimizing that, but you turned out awesome.
Well, thank you. So I was married to him for 23 years.
Oops. Yep. Go ahead.
And then after the marriage ended, which was it was a rough breakup, but after it ended, I started asking Daddy if there was a mate, if he made somebody special for me.
Right.
And I dreamed about this man, this wonderful man. And I dreamed that, because I have a swimming pool, I dreamed we were outside in the swimming pool and that I had my head on his chest. And I was making goo-goo eyes at him, of course, but I never saw his face. And he had salt and pepper gray hair on his chest, because I was 43 by this time.
Right.
Well, this actually came to pass after I met Floyd. We're standing in the pool and I'm looking at his chest and I'm thinking, well, this is my dream.
Wow.
I said, but where's the gray hair? So I asked him, I said, where's the gray hair? I had this dream. And he started laughing. He goes, oh my God, I plucked them.
That's great. That's great.
Laughed. I said, oh my gosh, that's funny.
But you kind of knew he was the one, you said, when you first like talked to him on the phone before you even met. And then when you met, it was like evident to you.
Oh
right?
yeah, I remembered from the first time I heard him laugh.
Right.
Flood of memories of this man.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
I was in love with him before I even set eyes on him. I already knew who he
That's
was.
so awesome.
So it was so funny though when I kept asking him for the gray hair. I talked to him. I said, that was funny. Well, while I was married, I got to tell you, was coming to the end of my marriage, I had a girlfriend who was married to a pastor. And I wouldn't really call her my friend at the time. I knew her. I didn't really know her.
Right.
And then I had another friend who was going to the same home church I was. And we'd been friends for years. And I was inspired to actually write a song over this whole turmoil that went on. But they kept talking about pastor's wife, and she had disappeared, and they had like 4 kids, and she was gone, and she was sick. And then they had this strange barbecue at their house. Something's amiss.
So she was physically missing from the family.
Right. With the kids.
Okay.
Took the kids and went to Colorado, and I was like, something's not right.
Okay.
Why is he having a barbecue without her here? And I don't know. And so I came home and I just started praying for her, because that's what I did at that time. I didn't understand requesting, but I was praying for her and I was asking Daddy. And that's when I got the download about the pastor's wife. My friend was having an affair with her husband, the one that I'd known for all these years.
Okay.
And that I was supposed to go to her and tell her what I had seen. No, she wasn't crazy. No, it was happening under her very nose in her own home.
You were supposed to tell the pastor's wife
that I'd seen the betrayal, that Daddy had shown it to me.
Okay.
And the incidents, because there were, I saw all of it.
Okay.
So she called me out of the blue. And I said, by the way, we're supposed to be friends, and I'm supposed to tell you about this, and this. And you're going to know that I'm telling you the truth because it happened. And she goes, oh my God, you do know. And I said, yeah, we're supposed to be friends. I said, because beyond all else, Daddy told me you need me to stand beside you and be your friend.
Right. Wow.
So we've been friends for many years since then. But that was the first time I got that kind of a download.
So I just want to clarify this. She was missing for a while.
Mhm,
He had a barbecue. You had two friends that knew that family,
mhm.
and one of them was having the affair. And then you got all the details of it. And then the pastor's wife just calls you out of the blue,
Yep,
and you kind of told her on the phone.
yep.
Wow. Okay. And then she, um, well, did whatever, but you followed what you were told to do. Where had she been during all this time?
She had gone to Colorado and she had her
Okay.
kids staying with her parents.
Okay. You did mention that, I think. I'm sorry. I missed that. Okay.
And
Wow.
and she was actually seeing somebody because she was getting sick from all of this, physically becoming ill.
Right.
And
Anxiety.
mhm.
Yeah.
And basically, I was to confirm to her that she was not crazy
Okay. I get it now. Okay. I wasn't understanding that little part. All right.
because they were convincing her that she was just jealous and crazy,
Right.
and she wasn't. They actually ran off together eventually. I mean, how are you going to hide that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she and I were friends, but we're still friends. We just don't talk to each other much. She moved to Colorado and never came back.
Okay.
So, but we're still friends. We still stay in touch off and on. And from time to time over the years, it's been a touch, a phone call, a hug, and I'll get downloads.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's a flood.
Right. Right.
And sometimes it's absolutely amazing. But let's say I don't try to make it happen. It
Right.
happens when it's supposed
Right.
to.
And this ability has saved you a few times. Like you said, when you were the runaway, you knew who to avoid,
Oh, yeah.
that sort of thing. You felt that red flag feeling or you just had a knowing.
Yep.
Yeah. Very handy skill to have.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's saved me a lot of heartache over the years, I think.
Right. Right.
And then oh, I was going to bring that up. So after Floyd and I met, we started doing what they call health and wellness shows.
Mm-hmm.
He's into alternative healing, water machines and such. So we'd gone to this, what do you want to call healing, an alternative healing show, and they were having it over at one of the churches, one of the Unitarian churches here in town. And I had been telling my native girlfriend, there's a lot of witches in Albuquerque, a lot of dark witches in Albuquerque. And she kept going, oh, you're making it up. Now, mind you, my girlfriend is very, very gifted. She can see too. And I was telling her about the dark, and she thought I was just making it up. So we went to this show, and there was a couple of ladies that had a booth, not right next to us, but pretty close to right next to us. And out of the peripheral, I could see big dark ickies on them.
Oh,
Big, big dark
okay.
ickies.
Okay.
And they're putting out these orange flyers advertising an open seance. I was like, oh, that's
Ooh.
inviting people to an open possession. It's crazy. So I called my girlfriend. I said, I told you the next time I was at one of these, and I would tell you to come over. So she shows up with her two kids, and she goes over and she confronts them. And she's like, do you know who we are? I was like, supposed to keep your head down, keep your head down. What are you doing? So she goes over there, she confronts them, and I walk over there behind her because, yeah. So anyway, I walk over there behind her, and then she goes, I'm going to the bathroom. And then the one in the red pantsuit with the big icky on her follows her to the bathroom. Well, at that time, I was still limping pretty bad from an accident. So anyway, I caught up to her at the bathroom. By the time I got there, the other woman was already in the bathroom with her. It had like two stalls and a sink.
Right.
My girlfriend's leaned backwards over the sink, and this woman is leaned over her going, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?"
Ooh.
And she goes, "You're completely unprotected." And I grabbed my girlfriend by the elbow and pulled her from in between the sink and this woman out into the hallway. And I said, as I'm doing it, I go, "You're completely protected."
Wow.
And I explained to her that you need to keep your eyes on your fries. What's the goal? I said, keep your eyes on Daddy. Don't look at them. It gives them your energy. Don't focus on them. You focus on Daddy. I'm explaining to her to focus on Daddy and for her to imagine these cascades of flowing rivers of love and light just filling her till there's no room for anything else. And as we're walking down the hall and I'm telling her all this, the woman runs up behind me, grabs me from behind, and is immediately repulsed. She hit the wall.
Wow.
The difference in our energy that caused it. Her negative, my positive, and she hit the wall. She's, "How'd you do that?" I said, "I didn't. That's the love of Daddy. That's the love of Daddy protecting us.
Right, right.
I didn't do anything."
So did you try to clear that woman? Like, was this a while ago or was it recently?
This was many years ago.
Okay. All
So
right.
no, I did not try and clear, but we get there.
Okay.
So
Okay. Sorry.
that's okay. So we walk back to the table, to the booths where they have the table set up. We walk back to our booth. And when we get there, there's little stacks of money set up. And I told the children that sometimes money carries curses. And just in case, to leave that there and not touch it, please. Let's just leave that alone. It's not ours, so we don't need to take it. So they left the money. And then she says, "They're everywhere here, aren't they?" And I said, "Yes, they are." So I said, let's go ahead and pray for them. So we started praying the presence of God into the room, that they all be healed and reconciled. And it looked like you'd turn the light on a bunch of cockroaches because they were scattering
Wow.
like
Wow.
roaches.
Right.
And I said, just, pray with me. Just bring that presence of Daddy down into the room, into this whole place. Because it was a huge place, a big auditorium. And they were breaking down their stands and I'm leaving. I mean, it was to the point of you couldn't deny what was happening.
Right. Right.
And she's like, "How did you do that?" I said, "It's not me. It's the presence of Daddy."
Right. Right. Wow. I love how you said that because that's so true. Like when Smarty was at my expo, the very first time he talked, I think he might have done 2 talks that weekend. I don't actually remember, but people literally came running out of that room. I mean,
Yep.
you were either in or you were out, right?
Yep.
People would run out of that room. And of course we know, they're not of the light, but it's just so interesting, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And it really gave my girlfriend what she needed to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the lesson there was for her that day.
Right. Wow.
And I just got lucky enough to be part of it.
Right. Right.
And that was pretty amazing. I would tell you there have been many times that I have been so blessed because, laugh at me. Floyd and I were going to use wet salt because it has more minerals in it. And he goes, "Well, we need a grinder." I said, "Well, yeah, you got to have a salt grinder in order to use that mineralized wet salt."
Right.
And he goes, "Where are we going to get one of those?" And I said, "I see one over at that farm, the farm store, right, a block away." And he goes, "They don't carry that kind of stuff." And I said, "Well, sure, there's one there, believe me." And so we drive over there. I go in the store. He goes to the front. He's asking them for a salt grinder. And I hear them telling him that they don't carry that. They don't have that. And I walk to the back of the store to this little table and a basket under the table. And I reach in and pulled out this salt grinder. And I said,
How
"There's
cool.
one right here."
How cool is that?
And the lady goes, "I don't know where you found that. I don't even know what to charge you." And I said, "Well, I saw you charging me $9.99.
Oh, wow.
So that's what they charged me.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know. And then
That's so
it
funny.
happened again. I wanted to get, what do they call them? It's like a cabinet. It's behind me right there.
Mhm.
For a TV, like an entertainment
Right.
cabinet. And I told him, I said that I can't afford what those cost. They were, somewhere anywhere from $500 to $1,500 at that
Right.
time. And I said, I see one at the used place, the Family Thrift over on, Candelaria Street. He's like, place never has anything but junk. And I said, I'm telling you, it's there. Went in there,
Wow.
there it sat with the tag still on it, brand
Wow.
new. I
Wow.
paid
Wow.
$200 for it.
Wow.
That kind of stuff. It happens
Yeah.
often while I was putting together my hypnosis office. And the same thing happened with our grill. I saw it, like we went and got it for less than $200. 3 burners and then a separate grill on the side, a 4th burner. Yeah, for less than
You,
$200.
you know what I think that lesson is you ask for it or whatever, and you're open and receptive and you follow the inspiration that you're given. So you went to the salt grinder place and I mean, like the logical brain would have said, don't bother, but you were like, no, I see it and I trust, and you keep doing it.
I didn't see it in the basket under the table till I
Yeah.
got in the store. And then I was
Yeah.
like, I knew exactly where it was.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And then I was going to tell you, I was going to tell you that because of what we're going through right now, that my father passed in like 2007. And I've always been alternative medicine. I have not trusted or believed. They tried to have me, I think I mentioned it before, clinically abort my daughter. And I fought them
Yes. Right.
to keep her
Right.
because I was young and they were trying to bully me into this.
Right. Right.
Threaten me into this, that it was going to kill me and kill the baby. And anyways, I didn't buy into their reality they were trying to
Right.
push on
Right.
me.
Right.
And so my brother kept telling me, I'm afraid that you're going to have a heart attack like our dad did, and you need to go get checked. And I went to the doctor and I told her she wanted to give me a tetanus shot, and I let her give me a tetanus shot.
Oh.
Well, it almost killed me, but because of what I already did know, my nose started running right away. I was like, they gave me a DPT and I knew it, that mixed shot. And before I got home, I was already sick.
How many years ago was this?
This was back in 2007. So by the time I got home, I stopped and bought a bottle of Benadryl, and I told Floyd, I said, you need to give me these 2 every 4 hours. Don't miss. And I said, don't call the ambulance unless I start to turn gray or blue, because they're going to kill me. And I said, I think this is intentional because I'm a neg and a universal donor. And they're all about the money. And I told them,
Yes.
do not take me to hospital. They'll kill me. So he didn't. He gave me the Benadryl. I didn't wake up from Friday night until Sunday afternoon, 2:00. I did not even get up to pee.
Wow.
I woke up at 2:00 in the afternoon and I had a blood rash from the tops of my eyebrows like this. I looked like somebody that starred in that movie Virus. And then I had the blood rash like somebody had choked me all the way down to in between my breasts. And my eyes were blood, solid blood, both eyes.
Why would they have recommended? I mean, there's no logic there other than they wanted to harm you. All right. Why would anyone think a tetanus shot is something that you would need?
Well, it's been over 12 years. I needed one of those.
You
'Cause
don't really need one till you're hurt.
I work with electrical equipment.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was
Go ahead.
just naive enough to.
Yeah. See, that's what's happening now is people give their power to the medical community. Like the doctor has the title and the education, the doctor knows better. And, you know, most doctors, I mean, many doctors are very good people and they really want to do the right thing, but there's, you know, they don't have the time to actually think about what the symptom is or how to heal the body. They're just handing out those prescriptions anymore, right? And there's no follow-up. There's no nothing like there used to be.
Well, I called my doctor
Right.
that Sunday. It started becoming difficult to breathe.
Yeah.
From the vaccine.
Right.
So I called my doctor, who refused to talk to me or see me.
Wow.
So I had to make an appointment with what I called my little old man doctor, my allergy doctor, who I usually went to see at the same office. And I said, I've got to see you. I'm having an allergic reaction. And he put me on prednisone, and I was on 20 milligrams of prednisone 3 times a day, which a prednisone pack, a Predna pack for like poison ivy or something, is 20 milligrams, the whole Predna pack you take in a week.
Right.
I was taking that 3 times a day to breathe.
Right.
And it took me a while to figure out how to get off it.
Right. It's a very harmful drug as well.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it's probably a lot of why I'm diabetic now.
Oh, so it blasted your immune system and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So my son was in high school and got kicked in the face at soccer, and he had his whole mouth and lip was split open. It wasn't horrible, but he's just a young kid, so I want to have it stitched up. Well, I ended up at one hospital. I sat there for like 4 hours. I went to the other one in the city because I mean, we spent the whole night in the hospital. So the second hospital, they put us into a room and we sat there forever. So we're sitting in the room, and then I went down the hall to go to the bathroom. Now he's a minor. Okay. I have not signed any paperwork yet or filled anything out. We're just sitting in the room. I go to the bathroom. I come back. They had given him a tetanus shot. Oh my God, was he sick? He was out of school for 3 days because of that shot. Now the stitches, as soon as I heard that, I pull him out of the hospital. I just wanted it stitched up. Okay. And then we went home. We slept for like an hour. I got him up and we went to this plastic surgeon in town who had worked on my daughter, and he got right in there. They stitched him up, and I told him what happened, and he was shocked. He was shocked at that treatment. And the fact that they gave the shot without, permission. And here's the other interesting thing. Of course, we didn't fill out paperwork, but they never billed us for anything. Yeah.
I had in my chart, just for the record, I had in my chart that I was allergic to pertussis. So that means they gave me a DPT shot. The pertussis part, I knew that I'd had a bad reaction as a child and told them, do not ever give me that. And I made big block print in my file, allergic to pertussis. So she knew when she gave me that shot.
Right.
And it causes anaphylaxis. It causes shock. It causes the meninges in the brain to swell, which they could call it brain death, and then harvest all your blood and organs. Yeah, and I'm a universal donor.
Wow. Nasty.
Yeah. You better be really careful with those guys.
Yeah. See, people are just, they're going in, they're diagnosed, they have these surgeries, and, there's a lot of money to be made from that. And, I feel sorry for the people, like, a lot of them are innocent, but of course they do have the opportunity to research and maybe even prevent by their lifestyle, but that's a whole different ball game. So, yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was already practicing that. I was just I was trying to put my brother at ease.
Yeah.
And I was still just naive enough to take their vaccine.
Right.
And it's taken me this long
Right.
to really begin the healing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't been, like I say, I have not been sick in probably 10 years. I don't
Okay.
really get sick,
Right.
but it took a long time to get there.
Right. All right. So then what's next on your list?
Let's see. I know I've had such a good time. Oh, I was going to tell you that I've been running crews. I mean, a crew of men. I'm usually somehow or another, I end up in charge. Where I'm working now, I'm not, and I'm good with it. But for years, I ran a cruise, and sometimes it was kind of uncomfortable. A little bit of PTSD when I'd have to go and fire one of these men because
Yeah.
they, were drinking or whatever. I have to go and let them go.
Right.
So I sent myself to counseling because I'm talking, it'd go down to tunnel vision. It's like watching TV and you're way far away. I was like, hey, I don't like functioning like this. So
Right. Right.
I sent myself to counseling for 2 years for the PTSD. And when we got into it, the counselor looks at me and he says, until you acknowledge and recognize your inner healer, that you are a healer yourself, he said, you could do all of this without me. I'm not really sure why you come here. And he says, but as soon as you recognize that, you'll be fine.
Right. Right.
So I came home from that and I sat in my den and I had a long talk with Daddy. And I just told him, can I dream? I said, I keep dreaming about these healing centers. And I don't know what part I'm actually supposed to play in them. I said, I know I'm a healer, but I really don't understand. I went to sleep and dreamed all about hypnosis, but there's a particular type of hypnosis. There's different voices that they speak in. One voice is called Permissive Voice, which is suggestions. You never take the approach of telling anybody anything. The person still, even in trance, needs to remain in control. And you give them suggestions. You don't tell them anything. The other school of thought is what they call a paternal voice, which is a command voice.
Okay.
I think it violates a person's
Free will or whatever.
it's
Yeah.
it's not nice.
Okay.
So yeah, because if you told me to do anything, I'm going to go do the opposite.
Wait, that's in my handbook.
So I do that night I dreamed all about hypnosis, and that what took me 2 years to do could have been done in 2 or 3 sessions.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And then I dreamed about my teacher and who she was. And I got up and I searched for her at 2 o'clock in the morning on the computer and found her. And she lived 5 miles from my house.
Wow. Wow. That is cool.
So I refinanced my house and I did an internship with her in her house.
All right. To learn the hypnosis business?
Yes.
Okay.
To learn this technique where it's respectful to the person you're working with.
Right.
This permissive voice where you don't take anyone's authority away from them. And it's beautiful. And EFT, which is emotional freedom technique.
Right.
Which is waking hypnosis.
We had talked about that after the video last time,
Yes.
because Deborah has been through a lot of trauma, and I asked about PTSD and tapping, and she goes, "Oh, I do that." And I was like, "Oh, yay!" Because I didn't want to say that on the video, but it's actually it gets it out of your cellular memory, out of your nervous system.
It
And
breaks it up at the meridians, the meridian
yes,
points,
yeah,
and you interject new thoughts of love and light
right, yeah,
so that it breaks all those.
yeah. So you are a facilitator of tapping and hypnosis.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, that is a very helpful modality for yourself and others. Yeah. And it's alternative because, there's always reasons beyond what we are able to see as a 3D human, if you will.
Well, it's so gentle too that a lot of people
Yeah.
will tell you, I couldn't tell anything was different. And then they'll call you back and say, but I couldn't tell anything.
Right.
Anything happened, but it did.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they're back in control.
Yes.
And it gives the person back, they say, it calls yesterday, tomorrow, and today into the now. So you don't have to try and live in yesterday or in tomorrow anymore. You can be now, living your best you right now, every day.
Right. So what happened after you started hypnosis? You intuitively, you dreamed about your teacher and there she was, boom.
Well, at first I went and told Floyd and he goes, "That's of the devil. What are you talking about, hypnosis?" I said, "No, I think it depends on how you practice it. It's very freeing."
Yeah.
Well, everyone that I have ever seen, there are 3 lines that I give everyone. Any old, antiquated thought systems that are not serving you well, you can erase them from your mental blackboard. Just let go. Give them you give them the permission, because it's not given to us as children, to change your own mind. And it's very freeing, and people will, as they go through life, anytime that an antiquated old thought system comes up and it's not serving you well, you can erase it.
Right.
And replace it. That gives people a lot, a lot more freedom.
Okay.
And I hear back from them. I usually only see, I could never do this as an ongoing business in the economic climate that we live in, because I only see people 2 or 3 times ever.
Right. And that's really the sign of a good healer. Like if you're trying to keep them there for years and years or 15 years, you're just basically out for the income. I used to teach a course called, oh my God, I just went blank on it. The course was based on a book called The Artist's Way, and it was like 12 chapters with exercises. So I was a facilitator for that course. And I had worked with a woman who had a horrible childhood, like bizarre stuff, like you can relate, right? But she had been in therapy for like probably 30, 40 years. And she did the course. I did not charge them for it. And she said, I got more out of 12 sessions with you doing this course. It was a group thing than I have out of my therapy sessions. And see that it gets like you talk and all that, and you know, like the Artist's Way just allowed you to dig deeper into yourself and different aspects of it. It's very interesting. It's a very good book. So, all right, back to you.
It is how I stopped smoking.
Yeah.
I smoked since I was 12.
Right.
13, actually 13. When they took me away in foster care and they put me in those bizarre places, I started smoking.
Right.
And the cigarettes went with me wherever I went. I was disconnected from family and friends, but I had my cigarettes.
Right.
And I had
comfort. It's just comfort.
Oh yeah, and I had done that until I was, in my 40s.
Yeah.
So here I am, and she asked me, and during the course, did I want to be you know, the one receiving the hypnosis as an example, because there were two of us there. There were only
Right.
two students.
Right.
And I said, well, sure, I'll do it. Sue, I forgot to smoke for 3 days.
Wow.
Now, how could I go back to smoking?
That's crazy.
So,
Awesome.
and as part of what she taught, it was, you say, what do they call that? It's called NLP, neuro linguistics.
Right. Right.
So I practice neuro linguistics. It's not
Right.
just hypnosis, but
Right.
because the subconscious has its own language.
Right. Right.
They can't hear negative words. So if you tell someone they're a non-smoker, they go home and smoke, because you just told them they're a smoker.
Right. Right.
So after forgetting to smoke for 3 days, there was no way in my right mind that I could put a cigarette back in my mouth. Yes,
Right.
I did have cravings. And yes, I did go get a little e-cig, and I played with it for about and I lost it in the bottom of my purse, just like the hypnosis pattern said that I could.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And I
Okay.
didn't bother to go back and find it until a girlfriend of mine was quitting, but I gave it to
Awesome.
her.
Awesome. Awesome. So what happened after you started your hypnosis business?
Well,
Any other cool stories there?
actually, there have been quite a few cool stories there. I have, even though I'm not successfully wealthy from it, I am successfully wealthy from it. I have an entire file drawer of people that I've seen,
Awesome. Awesome.
and I've seen people only a couple for smoking. I thought it would be a lot, but only a couple.
Right. Right.
I've seen quite a few, you'll laugh, I've seen quite a few alcoholics, but never one that was willing to do the alcohol pattern, where it strips the lies away about the alcohol. They didn't want to go that far. But I did help them with in general relaxation and how to fall asleep.
Right. Right. And yeah. So are you able to use your intuitive abilities when you're working with people?
Actually, yes. And I think the biggest thing that I didn't realize, I guess, that my instructor told me that my voice
Right.
is perfect for hypnosis.
Right.
And
Right.
that I resonate at that what they call theta brainwave state. My voice is at that resonance. And what I didn't realize, and you can't learn or teach, it's something that you have to experience, is that when somebody sits in your chair, they are traveling. They are in spirit, they are traveling.
Right. Right.
And you hold their energy and you protect them as another being.
Right.
You protect them while they are traveling. It's something you do with them.
Okay.
And you just feel them, and you keep them safe. Part of it's that they just need to feel safe. And you kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but you're the energy of your voice helps ground them.
Right. Right.
So that they're able to do it. It's one of the most freeing things I've ever experienced.
Excellent.
And Floyd's become quite, he tries all my new patterns.
Right. Right. That's great. You have a guinea pig.
And loves it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will tell you this. I limped for years after that vaccine, for probably 15 years. I did want to throw this out there. And I believed every day that Daddy was going to heal me. He took me out of a wheelchair when I was younger. And I just knew that I was dumb enough to take the vaccine, that I just had to wait in Daddy's time that I would be healed. but that I had to have faith
Right.
and walk in it. And I worked the entire time. I even took a job in a warehouse where I limped for 2 years more.
Right.
And at that time, one of the Jedi ran my picture through the crystalline healing generator. And the next day, I put the crutch down. And I've never looked back.
Isn't that amazing?
And I'm still walking better and better every day.
Miracles and wonders.
Yes, ma'am.
So beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. So
Yeah.
I would tell you as my ending comment, and I keep posting it, faith that moves Daddy to act. And he does. I'm walking.
Well, you've had an amazing life, and you are an example, like, for what people can become. Because I know, the environment people are in does affect them, their education, their way of being, all of that affects them. But you made so many good choices. I mean, there were some choices that weren't maybe the best, but see, this is the fast tracking of the lesson, as we talked about before. You got your lessons all condensed in the beginning of your life. And it was hard. Yeah. But now now you've got a life of love and light. You're able to live with your life partner and help others. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So you are a great example of what someone can become.
Just don't give up.
Yes, don't give up. I thank you for being open. I know it's not always hard to talk about these things, but thank you for your stories. Thank you for what you do. And I'm excited to see what you will be doing in the future. It's going to be great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Deborah. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.